Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately wondered, do they like me? Am I good enough? Will they approve of what I say, how I look, what I do? Most of us have. But here's a little truth that could shift your entire world. You are the only one who truly understands your worth. Not your boss, not your partner, not your friends, and definitely not some stranger online. That might sound a bit bold, but think about it. People only treat you based on what you project. The world reflects back what you believe about yourself. If you walk around with your head down, doubting your place, guess what? The world doubts you too. But when you show up with quiet confidence, not arrogance, but true inner calm, everything changes. Suddenly, people listen when you speak. They notice you, they respect you, not because you shouted the loudest, but because they can feel that you respect yourself. And no, confidence doesn't mean pretending to be perfect. It's not about faking it till you make it. Real confidence is knowing you'll be okay even when things go wrong. Let me say that again. Confidence is not about never failing. It's about knowing that failure won't break you, that rejection won't define you, that even if you stumble, you still belong here. You know, I remember a time when I didn't believe in myself. I let criticism ruin my day. I took rejection personally. But then one day, someone said to me, what if it's not about you at all? What if they're just projecting their own stuff? And it clicked. From that moment, I stopped letting every no knock me down. I started standing taller, not because I had more success, but because I realized my worth isn't up for debate. Let me give you a little image. Imagine someone tries to hand you a gift, but you don't accept it. Whose is it? Still theirs, right? Now apply that to judgment, criticism, or rejection. If you don't accept it, it's not yours to carry. That's the shift. That's what makes you unbotherable. Not cold, not careless, but steady. And trust me, people notice that energy. So here's my question for you. What would your life look like if you stopped seeking approval and started owning your worth? Really think about it. Because once you tap into that quiet power inside, you don't need permission anymore. You become the permission. And that changes everything. Let's be honest. How often do we live our lives trying to earn a gold star from other people? We post something hoping for likes. We make choices hoping for applause. We walk into work, into family events, even into friendships, silently asking, do you approve of me? But here's the truth no one really tells us. When you chase approval, you give away control of your emotions. Think about it. If someone compliments you, you feel great. If someone criticizes you, boom, your whole day's ruined. You're on an emotional roller coaster that you're not even driving. And worse, the opinions you're trying to please aren't even objective. They're shaped by people's biases, their past, their wounds, their moods. Sometimes what they say about you says more about them than it ever could about you. Now, don't get me wrong, feedback matters. Growth is important, but constantly living for validation, that's not growth. That's bondage. Because no matter how hard you try, you can't please everyone. And the cost of trying? You lose yourself. You start editing who you are, second-guessing your instincts, silencing your voice, just to fit someone else's expectations. That's not confidence. That's survival. But here's the good news, and it's powerful. Freedom doesn't come when everyone approves of you. It comes when you approve of yourself. That's when everything shifts. When you stop asking, do they like me? And start asking, do I like the way I'm showing up today? When you stop bending to win praise and start standing in your truth, people feel that. It's magnetic, it's rare, and it's real. See, true confidence isn't loud or pushy. It's quiet. It doesn't beg to be seen. It simply exists, and it pulls people in because it doesn't need to. Now here's a key mindset shift. You don't have to ignore everyone's opinions, but you do have to filter them. Learn to recognize the difference between constructive feedback and destructive judgment. One helps you grow, the other keeps you small. Here's a rule I live by. If the feedback helps me become a better version of me, I'll take it. If it's just noise, ego, or projection, I let it pass. So I'll leave you with this question. What part of your life is still being held hostage by someone else's approval? And what would it look like if you finally let it go? Because the moment you stop needing their validation, you start reclaiming your peace, and that is a kind of power no one can take away. Let me ask you something. Have you ever let one rude comment ruin your entire day? It happens to all of us. Maybe someone cut you off in traffic. Maybe your coworker made a snarky remark. Or maybe someone online left a comment that just got under your skin. And in that moment, it feels like they stole your peace, doesn't it? But here's the truth, and it's both uncomfortable and empowering. No one can make you feel anything unless you give them permission. Let that sink in. Anger, frustration, sadness, they don't come from people. They come from our interpretation of what they do or say. Your emotions are yours. That means they're also your responsibility. I know it sounds almost too simple, but think about this. Two people can hear the exact same criticism and have completely different reactions. One person might take it personally, spiral into self-doubt. The other might say, interesting. Is there any truth to that? And move on. What's the difference? The next time someone tries to push your buttons, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Because the real power? It's not in controlling the world around you. It's in controlling how you respond to it. And once you master that, no one can take your peace without your permission. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone tried to insult you and it didn't even sting? You see, confidence, true confidence, is like wearing invisible armor. It doesn't mean you're arrogant, loud, or trying to impress anyone. It simply means you know who you are, and that's enough. Most people think being confident means having the last word, standing tall in the room, or proving your worth. But the most unshakable confidence often whispers, not shouts. It walks quietly and yet commands the loudest respect. Think about this. Insults only hurt when they touch a wound that hasn't healed. If someone calls you lazy and you secretly believe you're not doing enough, bam, that hits deep. But if you know you're disciplined, if you've built your life on responsibility and purpose, then those words bounce right off. Because they're simply not true for you. So here's the secret. Healing builds confidence. The more we face our insecurities, our shame, our fears, and work through them, the less power others have over us. Confidence isn't shouting, "I don't care what people think." It's calmly saying, "I know what I think, and that's what matters most." When you operate from this place, insults lose their teeth. You don't react, not because you're cold, but because there's nothing inside you for the insult to latch onto. That's what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. So ask yourself today, what insults still get under your skin? What part of you do they tap into? Maybe it's time to stop fighting the world and start healing those places within. Because once you do, you'll wear your confidence like armor, lightweight, unbreakable, and always with you. Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to thrive on drama? They poke, they prod, they say things that are clearly meant to get under your skin. And when you react, they win. But here's the truth that most of us learn the hard way. When you stop reacting to negativity, you take your power back. I know it sounds simple, maybe even a little cliche. But hear me out. Not reacting doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong enough to not play the game. And trust me, it is a game. The moment you refuse to step onto that emotional battlefield, the other person has nothing to fight with. No fuel, no audience, no control. Think of it like this. Imagine a kid throwing a tantrum in the middle of a store. Screaming, crying, throwing things. Now imagine if every adult around that could join in the chaos. It would escalate, right? But what do most experienced parents do? They stay calm. Maybe they ignore the tantrum altogether. Because they know reacting just gives it more power. That's exactly how we need to see negativity from others as noise. As emotional tantrums. Sometimes they come from people who never learned how to deal with their own emotions. Or worse, from those who use drama as a way to manipulate or control others. But once you see it for what it is, it becomes so much easier to detach. And look, this doesn't mean you have to be cold or indifferent. It means you choose your battles. You decide what gets your energy. You create space between what happens to you and how you respond to it. That space, that little pause, is where your power lives. So next time someone tries to trigger you, ask yourself, is this really worth my peace? Because often, the most powerful move you can make is no move at all. Remember, your peace is priceless. And when you protect it fiercely, the people who feed on conflict eventually get tired and move on. Not because they've changed, but because you did. Stay calm. Stay grounded. and never give away your power so easily. Have you ever found yourself in the middle of an argument, feeling like you have to prove your point? Like if you don't speak up, you'll lose something, maybe pride, maybe respect? Yeah, we've all been there. But here's something that might surprise you. Not every battle is worth fighting. And sometimes silence is the most powerful response you can give. See, real strength isn't always loud. It doesn't always come in the form of sharp words or strong comebacks. Sometimes it looks like choosing not to react. Choosing peace over pride. Choosing to walk away not because you're weak, but because you're wise. That takes maturity. Because let's be honest, our ego wants to be right. It wants the last word, the applause, the validation. But what if I told you that the need to always be right is actually chaining you down? Letting go of that need, the need to win every argument, to prove yourself every time, it's liberating. It's like putting down a heavy backpack you didn't even realize you were carrying. Suddenly, you're not drained by pointless debates or toxic energy. You're just free. I remember a time when I used to jump into every disagreement, thinking I had to fix it, or defend myself, or teach someone a lesson. But the more I did that, the more exhausted I felt. The turning point came when I realized I don't owe everyone a reaction. I don't need to attend every argument I'm invited to. And wow, what a shift that was. So here's a question for you. Is it really worth it? Is proving your point worth sacrificing your peace? Sometimes silence says everything. Sometimes walking away says, I value myself enough not to get dragged into this. Let that be your power. Let go of the need to control every narrative or win every debate. The peace you gain in return? That's real strength. That's growth. Let me ask you something. What would your life look like if you stopped letting every little thing get to you? If your peace wasn't so easily stolen by a rude comment, a stressful email, or someone else's bad mood? Here's a truth that can change everything. You are the only one responsible for your emotions. Not your boss, not your partner, not that stranger who cut you off in traffic. You. And when you finally understand that, when you fully own it, something powerful happens. You stop giving people free access to your peace. It's easy to think that someone else made you angry or ruined your day. But really, what they did was offer a reaction and you accepted it. The moment you choose not to react, that's when you win. Not them. You. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't about becoming numb or emotionless. It's about becoming wise. It's about knowing when something deserves your energy and when it doesn't. Think about how many times you've replayed a conversation in your head, getting worked up over what you should have said. What if, instead, you just let it go? You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to fix every misunderstanding. And you absolutely don't have to react to every trigger that comes your way. That's what it means to be unbotherable. Not cold, not distant, just centered, calm, grounded in your own power. There's a kind of quiet confidence that comes with choosing peace over proving a point. It says, I know who I am. I don't need to fight to prove it. So the next time someone tries to get a rise out of you, pause and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Most of the time, the answer will be no. Because real strength? It's not about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. Let peace be your default. Let go, not because you're giving up, but because you're rising above. That's how you become truly unstoppable.